His dad may be a rich and famous wrestling icon, but Nick Hogan has no desire of getting into the ring himself. And as it turns out, being Hulk Hogan's son isn't all it's cracked up to be. In August of 2007, Nick Hogan was responsible for a devastating tragedy that left his former best friend in round-the-clock care for the rest of his life. The incident occurred when he and some friends were racing in a 40-mile-per-hour zone on their way to a steakhouse. Nick was behind the wheel while his friend, John Graziano, rode shotgun. Nick ultimately lost control of the vehicle and crashed it into a palm tree. The Hogan Knows Best star was left in serious condition following the crash. Graziano, however, wasn't wearing a seatbelt and was left permanently paralyzed.
I understand why people would be angry with me.
Nick was hit with several charges over the crash, including reckless driving and driving under the influence. He was ultimately given an 8-month jail sentence and ordered to do 500 hours of community service. However, Nick ended up behind bars for less than 6 months after he was let go due to good behavior. Since Nick was driving his dad's car that day, Hulk Hogan was complicit in a civil lawsuit from the victim's family. Graziano's family sued Nick and Hulk for an undisclosed amount due to the immense costs of their son's round-the-clock care. According to the St. Petersburg Times, the Graziano family reportedly received a $5 million settlement. After subtracting legal and medical costs, however, only about $1.5 million would remain. Despite the settlement, Nick carried the consequences of the crash with him every day. In a 2010 interview with Good Morning America, he said that learning to move on is a step-by-step process, adding,
"It's still hard for me to think about. I'm sorry."
He also expressed deep remorse for his actions, telling Graziano's family during the trial.
"I will never, ever be able to say I'm sorry enough."
However, many failed to sympathize with the star, especially after recorded prison phone calls showed him bad-mouthing his paralyzed best friend. In one of the leaked calls, Nick said, "John was a negative person." In 2007, Nick's parents announced they were getting a divorce. Over the next 2 years, a drawn-out divorce battle ensued. During that time, Linda Hogan made several accusations about her former husband, including that she feared for her life while she was with him. In her 2011 tell-all book, Wrestling the Hulk, My Life Against the Ropes, Linda alleged that her former husband had a drug problem and that he would get increasingly rageful throughout their marriage. She wrote, "I had a little bit of shoving. Sometimes he'd squeeze my arm or squeeze my face really hard when he was talking to me, or shove me onto the bed. I just tolerated that, but as the years went on, it got worse. Broken lamps, hair pulled out, furniture broken. He threw the dog off the bed." Eventually, Linda's well-being took a turn for the worse. She recalled in her book, "I thought he could kill me. He had his hands around my neck one time on the bed, and he started squeezing my throat." Hulk denied the accusations against him and filed a defamation suit against Linda in 2011. However, nothing has been made public on how the parties resolved the suit. In 2018, Nick experienced a major health scare after being sent to the hospital. According to The Blast, the reality star fainted near his father's home in Clearwater, Florida. An insider told the publication that the reality star didn't eat enough that day and overdid it with work. At the time, the former race car driver was working behind the scenes at Dash Radio. Nick was eventually released from the hospital and made a full recovery. In 2023, Nick ran into more problems with the law when he was arrested for a DUI in Clearwater, Florida. According to the police report, Nick sped by 3 patrol cars that were mitigating a traffic incident. Officers performed a field sobriety test on Nick, which he failed. In body camera footage released after the incident, an officer can be heard mentioning the smell of alcohol on his breath. Nick pled guilty to the DUI charge and violating the Move Over law, which requires vehicles to yield to first responders and law enforcement vehicles. Following the incident, Nick was given 100 hours of community service, a year's suspension on his license, and a 12-month probation. During his sentencing, the reality star expressed remorse for his mistakes, telling the court, "I'm very sorry for all of this going on. I never wanted to be in this position again." However, John Graziano's mother, Deborah, said Nick's DUI arrest was a case of history repeating itself. She told TMZ in 2023, "I can only pray that at some point in his life, while he still has the chance, that he turns his life around. Until then, I hope no one else gets hurt." Nick faced yet another tragedy after his father revealed that he came close to committing suicide in 2009. At the time, Hulk and his ex-wife Linda had recently finalized their messy divorce, and he was dealing with the impact of his son's car crash. By that October, the former WWE star was mixing dangerous concoctions of rum and Xanax while contemplating ending his life.
I wasn't doing well at all.
However, Hulk said one phone call from his American Gladiators co-star, Layla Ali, changed everything. He told Today. She said, "Hey, what's going on? You're on the set. You're all depressed. We're worried about you. You going to be okay?" The legendary wrestler said Ali checking up on him was a serious wake-up call. He told Today, "It snapped me out of it. At that moment, I switched gears. I got sick and tired of being sick and tired. Her voice saved my life. It really did." Eventually, the wrestling champion began to change his mindset, learning to grow from the obstacles and remain hopeful. He told Today, "I just wanted people to know that life is good. You don't have to run around with your head down. Stay positive, stay happy." If you or someone you know is struggling or in crisis, help is available. Call or text 988 or chat 988lifeline.org.